Hello and welcome back to another video. If you're looking for recommendations on what manhwa to read, then here are some that I've read recently that might be of interest. Manhwa titles are timestamped in the video for your convenience. Our first manhwa for today is the Mafia Nanny, a modern manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 61 on. Its main character is Davina, a child who lost her parents at a young age and was raised by the nanny employed by her family. It's immediately questioned as to why her parents lost their lives, but Davina doesn't put that much thought into it while growing up. Instead, she's raised as part of the Elite Nanny Association, or ENA, which can be enlisted to take care of high-profile individuals. As she graduates to become an eligible nanny, she is specifically requested by the Venetian underboss Gabriele Angelini to take care of his only son, Mikey. As she now gets herself involved with the underworld, she tries to see if some of her suspicions about her parents were true. But there are always consequences for these types of actions. The story is 7 out of 10. As a more grounded manhwa that centers itself around its modern theme, Mafia Nanny provides a story that delves into the mystery of Davina's parents while trying to professionally meet the needs of her clients. And in that regard, the Angelini family has their own set of circumstances to deal with. The characters are 8 out of 10. From Gabriel to Mikey and to the other members of the family, there are a core set that we're introduced to and honestly not much else. This allows them to be developed over time while progressing the story, which I have personally enjoyed. The art is also 8 out of 10. With what I would describe as a looser or more laid-back art style, this manhwa can get quite serious and gritty considering that various situations that an underworld crime boss would get themselves into. The both above ground and underground ways that these things are dealt with can get pretty intense. So if you're looking for a modern manhwa that delves into the underground criminal world with a main character that seems to have a complicated past, then the Mafia Nanny might be worth a try. This next manhwa to take a look at is the solo Munching Game Breaker, a modern manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 55 on. Its protagonist is Axe, the supposed best player of an online game known as Rin Online. That is, until he was betrayed by the group that he played with for reasons unknown to him. This ultimately caused him to go through a downward spiral both in gaming and in life, and he quit gaming entirely because of it. As he runs a fried chicken shop to make ends meet, he sees that a new VR game known as Fate has been released. Seeing that those betrayer friends of his are going to be playing the game, Axe finds the resolve to game again, and maybe, just maybe, he might have a chance at revenge. The story is 5 out of 10. Overall, the premise and overall direction is not something that I would call unique. So far, in its 55 chapters, it hasn't done anything in my eyes that has set it apart from some of the other modern game manhwas that I've covered on this channel. Hopefully, it's able to find something to tether itself to as it continues. The characters are 7 out of 10. Axe clearly has had to face a lot of trials and tribulations already considering the backstory before we even get started with Fate. Now he will have to face those that caused this situation. What will be his reaction and actions as he faces the trauma, or will the feelings of revenge be able to see him through? The art is also 7 out of 10. With a similar art style that resembles some of the other food and game manhwa that we've gone over, it strikes similar vibes and has an overall similar action. It will need some more though to truly get me invested in the overall package. However, if you're a fan of modern game manhwas that focus on the main character's growth through a lot of food consumption in a VR MMO similar to gourmet gaming from my previous videos, then make sure to munch on the solo Munching Game Breaker when you get the chance. Leave the Divorce to a Professional Lawyer is the name of our next manhwa to look over. It's a drama manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 38 on. Natasha is the name of its main character. An experienced lawyer who observed that the empire she lives in is filled with people who would benefit from divorce, she specialized in it as she saw that chance. Seemingly quite obsessed with money, she can be talked into accepting any job as long as she is well compensated for it. Prepare yourself for a more episodic type of manhwa as the pacing and storytelling are about the individual cases while having some more exposition about Natasha's own past and situations when it gets the chance. The story is 7 out of 10. Due to the episodic nature of the manhwa, you will notice an ebb and flow to the pacing as it has to give you context for each of the cases that it goes through. Somewhat of a historical fantasy setting, the various cases can get quite emotional at times, especially when inside of the courtroom. The characters are also 7 out of 10. Given the fact that there are multiple cases, you will also see a number of characters that, for the most part, are just introduced for the case and then swiftly moved aside into the background shortly thereafter. Natasha, though, seems to have quite the complicated quote-unquote family situation, though, that she's had to deal with. The art is 7 out of 10 as well. Considering the drama moniker, the art style really tries to hone in on more of the emotional side of things when it comes to these legal marital issues and disputes. Natasha's skill and can't-lose attitude are heavily shown throughout the chapters so far. So if you're a fan of dramatic scenes that involve the courtroom and are okay with the notion of the main character playing more of a sidekick role to enhance the case of each client that is paying well, then Leave the Divorce to a Professional Lawyer may just be something up your alley. Our next manhwa to take a look at is I Became a Childhood Friend of the Obsessive Sub-Male Lead, a reincarnation manhwa that I've read up to chapter 33 on. The focus of this story is on Rieta, a princess who has memories from her previous life. After being sold by her father to the mayor ducal family, she realizes that she's in a novel called How to Survive as an Ordinary Lady. Now coming face to face with the sub-male lead Noelle, she is treated quite well compared to her original family. As a way to repay this favor, Rieta now looks to try and turn Noelle into the main male lead instead of just the sub-male one. Of course, she will have to navigate the feelings that will bloom from Noelle's side, whether she likes it or not. Their relationship will get closer, but will Rieta recognize the situation she's put herself in? The potential is 6 out of 10. A typical romantic fantasy, this manhwa doesn't really set itself apart from the populated space we see ourselves in the romantic fantasy genre. I'm hoping for a bit more as time goes by, but it set the normal foundation I've come to expect from this type of story. The art is an 8 out of 10. Compared to its story, the art style is actually quite refined, and it's the main reason why I've enjoyed this manhwa. Expect the usual light and romance art style that we come to know, plus character designs that are simple but overall high quality. Due to this, I'm really curious to see where it could possibly develop, because I'm curious to see how their interpretation of our romantic fantasy story could be. So if you're a fan of following newer manhwas and are a fan of the romantic fantasy genre, or seemingly wanted something similar to Please Be My New Sister from my previous videos, then make sure to try I Became a Childhood Friend of the Obsessive Sub-Male Lead. Another week, another highlight. For those unaware, this is a section of the video I update impressions for manhwa that I've previously covered. Today's highlight is Home Plate's Villain, which I've now read up to chapter 83 on. Info card and description will have links to my original opinion. Bin Hong, our resident regression challenger, has had quite the ride so far. As we already know, due to what we shall denote as a baseball fairy, he has to achieve quite the number of hits in the major leagues. Now that he's made it to the quote-unquote major leagues, the tone of the story changes from his goal, although that's still the overarching plot, but to the individual characters, games, and connections that Bin Hong has made, both good and bad. Due to his first go-round, Bin Hong has an idea about the various individuals that he will be both teammates and rivals against. But there are also some that are more anomalies, and he will have to train himself up and face them in the traditional way. Of course, he himself is borderline overpowered. My previous scores for this manhwa was 8 out of 10 for potential and 7 out of 10 for art. This potential translates to a 7 out of 10 for story, as the initial premise for the whole plot is laid out very early. Due to its almost outrageous nature, it doesn't really bring it all up that often. Replacing it, however, are the various games, rivalries, and the overall feeling of pro baseball in the major leagues. The characters, on the other hand, are translated to a 9 out of 10. The personalities, teammates, enemies, and fans are just a complete treat in my opinion. Of course, it isn't all sunshine and roses, as there are multiple different situations that the team and Bin Hong will find themselves in. But I will say, because of these characters, all of it is very enjoyable. The art goes up 1 point from 7 out of 10 to 8 out of 10, as the overall art style has really shifted to more caricature depictions. This style brings a lot of the situational comedy to more serious moments, and it has truly crept up to be one of the more major reasons I enjoy it now. Home Plate's villain is more of a personal enjoyment manhwa for me, as it's now the only manhwa so far that I've covered more than twice. If you enjoy modern sports manhwa similar to Genius Hitter Hits Fastball or a tactical genius on the field from my previous videos, I would heavily recommend taking a look at this manhwa. Would you agree or would you not? Let me know down in the comment section down below your thoughts on Home Plate's villain. Thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Write in the comment section down below what manhwa you've been reading and I might just take a look. Till next time though, have a good read.